Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Crit Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about Endless Fluff's Valdis story, Abyssal City. Was this indie Metroidvania a perfect hybrid of exploration and combat, or was it all style and no substance? Ahem. In a world ravaged by a savage conflict between angelic and demonic forces, 4 brave warriors seek to end the oppressive conflict and get shipwrecked in the middle of the ocean during the prologue. It's just their luck that a long-lost city lies hidden beneath the waves, where they become embroiled in its current troubles, which are not only tied to the secret which rests at the city's heart, but which may also play a part in how the heavenly war has been dragged down to the ocean's depths. But honestly, the most interesting aspect to me was the fact that while the broad strokes remain relatively similar for the characters, though one of them does get a different beginning, the dialogue they have for the various NPCs is vastly different, providing a number of ways to characterize them, as well as providing more motivation to pop through the story again, without just skipping things. What's even better is that while the various bosses banter, they have unique dialogue for the protagonists, some of which have some neat story details. There's also some lore dumps in the form of collectible books that you can turn in for stat and skill points, which are all unique for the various characters, though in turn, they pale in comparison to the sheer scale of the sequel hooks tied to the optional endings a player can unlock for each character. See, there's 3 additional scenes for each character. Not only are they crunchy with plot points and lore, they also are tied to some notable challenging tasks, giving you need to beat 2 of the game's nastiest bonus bosses to acquire a pair of those scenes, and then to clear it on its penultimate difficulty level for the final optional ending sequence. And that's no small order, given that whilst Valdis' story is a Metroidvania, at its heart there's also some gorgeous and ultimately challenging bits of stylish combat that would be right at home in a DMC-esque setting. One which is made better by the fact that it has a cortege of protagonists to choose from, all of which play in very distinct manners from each other. There's a lot of factors in which they differentiate from each other, but the foremost is all of their movesets remain distinctly separate, which is excellent when you consider that each character has a set of weapons to choose from, which in themselves all have their own distinct attack animations and functions. These unique flavors are then further complemented by their sets of spells, character-specific skill trees, and the manner in which you can further upgrade the items you acquire, with your ornaments being the most notable since they actually get branching upgrade paths, allowing you to make finely tailored equipment setups to function with your chosen build and to completely annihilate everyone who gets in your way. While there is overlap in the various armors and accessories you can find between the characters, the large array that is present, as well as the sheer amount of combinations and their synergies with character-specific elements, is impressive all the same. And yet, I have to say, while the endgame of Valdis' story's combat is intensely satisfying, the fact that it manages to be a finely tuned engine of dodging, countering, and stabbing from start to finish is a testament to how enjoyable the combat was to try and master. Which helps, since the game does use a grade system as per many renditions of stylish combat, with the added nuance that high grades against bosses provide very distinct bonuses. Not only being extra experience, but also outright bonus stats and skill points that would normally be provided when leveling, or more specialized stat bonuses such as additional crit or the chance to inflict status ailments. Given that these scale with how well you do and ultimately stack up to monstrous levels, mastering the various bosses ends up feeling fairly important in higher difficulty levels, or if you intend on challenging all the bonus bosses. That said, Valdis' story is more than its combat, and honestly it manages to deliver on that front as well. There is a vast world to explore in the title with a number of different biomes and obstacles to overcome. You can expect vicious traps and ambushes to hinder you as you seek out secrets, and a plethora of abilities, both passive and active, that you can acquire to help navigate the world for secrets, or just to get by faster. Whether it's finding hidden armors, scouring the world for rare materials to plunder just so I can refine my various bits of gear into their ultimate forms, or just tracking down a fellow shipwrecked crew members so I could have more options for traveling companions to fight alongside, there's a heap of things to do. Heck, there's a few unspoken quests you can complete by dealing with certain issues before they become major problems, which have their own rewards if you keep on top of them, but also some rather dire results if you happen to ignore them or leave certain threatening monsters roaming about unchecked. Ultimately, there's a decently sized game for those looking just to give it a quick run through, but for those seeking a lot of content to challenge, there is a vast array of optional content to pick over. And from my own personal experience, I found it really enjoyable to go and run through the game again as one of the other characters. This provided an entirely different experience. Oh, and yes, there is in fact a new game plus, though rather than allowing you to keep your levels, it allows you to use all of a character's unlocked weapons from the get-go, which can still be incredibly useful if you're aiming to try your hand at Goibnu mode, which is the game's competitive timed/permadeath mode, which I suck at, but it's a thing for those folks there in the audience who like that kind of thing. You can also get access to the Holy Diver Armor in New Game Plus, if you've unlocked it, though that's a reward from diving deep enough into Valdis Story's Arena mode, which flings you against increasingly escalating and randomized arrays of the game's various bosses. Now, on the audio side of things, I have legitimately spent hours upon hours listening to the OST to Valdis Story just out of game. It's memorable in so many different ways, with there being some absolutely lovely ambient tracks to listen to, while also sporting some absolutely badass themes for the game's various bosses. I adored the sound design in general, to be frank. And visually, it's just really good looking. Like, I am a large fan of the art style, and even beyond that, everything just looks really lush in practice. I found a lot of the character designs to be really neat, and the fact that the weapons you have all have neat animations, including ones that you will possibly never even see, since if you upgrade your combo meter, a bunch of these will actually have unique animations for as you go further along. It's an attention to detail that I found really neat. Alright, so anyways, we're at the finale, and I'm just gonna come out and say, Valdis Story is actually amongst the reasons that I have ultimately continued working on this channel. Part of the reason why I actually got into it in the first place. I've been enamored with this game for years, since I first discovered it on Steam, and it's left a lasting impression on me in a similar manner to Salt and Sanctuary. And considering that I recently ran a contest that let people who watched my reviews pick a title I'd reviewed positively and I'd get it for them, I sort of realized it was a complete flipping shame that I didn't actually have a review for this game up. So, yeah, this game is amongst those that I'm really hoping gets a sequel at some point, since I became quite fond of its universe and found myself engrossed with the characters' intertwining plot threads, as well as how everything was going to pan out in the end. And the solid exploration, just the smooth and fast-paced combat, alongside the sheer array of builds available to player as they tackle the game, made it so much better. I don't really have anything bad to say about this game at all, and in fact have repeatedly poked people to go and try it out or pick it up, which is why I can only say this game can't be anything other than a crit hit in my book. Ahem. Anywho, so, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. I will totally respond. At least until they become so big I can't. Ha ha, ha ha ha. And for those interested in more indie reviews, developer interviews, podcasts, or Monday TTRPG content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner in the description and become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running now to help supplement funds for a lovely editor Jack, and to make sure we can continue to provide quality content. Again, check the description in the banner for them links. That all said, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.